Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Jim Coppinger with ZenTek Consultants, and this is our presentation on BricsCAD, custom tools at your fingertips. So, appreciate you guys taking the time to work with us today. Um, just a few housekeeping items before we get into the presentation. As we go through the presentation today, if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything you'd like to ask, because it's a public forum, we do keep all the microphones muted, but you can use either the chat box or the question box, and you can type in your questions. Because it's a pretty tight timeline here on the presentation, I'm not going to stop to answer the questions in real time, but I have set aside a few minutes at the end so that I'll read out whatever questions come in throughout the course of the class, and I promise I will get to your questions. So don't hesitate to type those in as we go. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and move through to today's presentation. So for those of you who haven't worked with us before, we're ZenTek Consultants, and we are experts in both the AEC and the manufacturing industry. And we're here to help our clients really with all their technology needs, from software purchase, configuration, implementation, and training, all right, all the way through, regular ongoing support. And we hope you guys will hit our website and see all of the different things that we have to offer for you. So let's start with a simple thing, right? We don't want to assume that everybody on the call today actually has BricsCAD and is a regular BricsCAD user. We hope you are. We're big fans of it. But if you're not sure what BricsCAD is as your first introduction to it, what is it? All right, BricsCAD, it's a newer and alternative to the big name 2D CAD system that we all know. And the great thing about working with BricsCAD is that it's a better system. It works in the same native DWG files, right, that you would do in any kind of an Autodesk-based product, right? So you can work with all your existing files and so on. But unlike their competitors, BricsCAD regularly updates their 2D modeling side. It's not just interoperability upgrades and making sure it'll open up drawing files. They have added lots of really, really nice tools to make your day-to-day operations work better when you're dealing in that 2D world. They've also gone extensively into integrating the 2D and the 3D BIM environments all into one single file, right, that you can access and work with one single package. It's a really amazing system. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and talk about today. All right, and what we're here to talk about today is customizing BricsCAD, right? And like I said, this webinar is all about putting together tools that your end users can access with a single click of the button, right? And the biggest way, and there are a number of ways that BricsCAD has to work with, custom tools and custom processes built in, and it's really powerful that way. But one of the most common and simplest to use is the idea of the BricsCAD tool palette, right? And what it lets you do is you can add pretty much any drawn item, whether it's a block or a hatch or a line type, into your tool palettes, right? So that you can reuse them from a centralized location again and again and again on a job, instead of having to go and remember, where did I draw that, door symbol? Where did I draw that piece of furniture? Where did I create, what's the last, line type I used for this type of work? You don't have to worry about any of those things. You can actually create them and build standard tool palettes that everybody in your company can use from their side panel. Now, the other thing that's really nice about that, because there are other CAD systems that have tool palettes, but one of the things that I really like about BricsCAD is that not only do we have the ability to build and customize drawn items, okay, we can actually build and customize tools, commands, and macros right on our tool palettes, okay? So in other words, we can take effectively any command, right, or any tool that we have inside of BricsCAD, add it to the tool palette and tweak and customize it, even to the point of doing macros where we could put in 3 or 4 steps, like open the drawing, zoom extents, hit the plot command, change to this particular page setup, etc. We can actually build and code that into a very simple tool palette system. It's really, really nice. Okay, so with that said, right, it's demo time. I just kind of want to show you guys a little bit what we can do here, right? And like I said, hope you guys will keep in mind, we are ZenTek Consultants, and we are your US BricsCAD partner, the single contact for all of your purchases, configuration, customization, anything to do with BricsCAD. So that said, I'm actually going to jump over to BricsCAD, and you'll see that what I have here, and some of you may even recognize this. This is an old DWG file. All right, it's a standard format drawing, just to show you that we can work in any existing DWG file that you have from any CAD system. Right? And what we're going to do here today is we're going to start working over here on the left-hand side. You see I've got my tool palette open. Right? And what we can do with the tool palette is you can see over here that, right out of the box, it comes with a couple of different tabs, right? I've got some basic hatch patterns, some commands, and some form features. All right, and these are just different types of tools and things that they've put in place, right, for you to kind of get an idea of how to work with your tool palettes. Right, I'm sorry, I also have an additional, I have a draw palette. I just didn't have that stretched all the way over. Right, so I can stretch that out and bring it over a little bit. So you see I've got basic commands and tools built in here. And these are just examples. And a lot of times what happens is people look at this and go, well, I guess it's an okay tool, but it's a little limited. It doesn't have everything I want. These are not meant to be your daily working tools. These are just examples to get you started, to show you how you can build and customize BricsCAD to your company's specific needs. Right? So what do we mean by that? Well, first, let's just start with the general concepts. All right, so simple things, right? So you see I've just got a basic draw one here. I can very easily go in here and I can just draw a line, right, from here to here, right? Simple. Now, the interesting thing here, right, is that no matter what I choose, lines, polylines, okay, I have total control over how these work in their customization, and we'll do that in just a few minutes. Right, so I can come in here, right, just by, as you see, you've got a tool palette here. You can build the palettes you need. And what I can do is I can start to adjust the views. So I'm going to start just by right-clicking on my tool palettes. And you see that here I can adjust the size. So if I've got a lot of these, I can go and adjust and make smaller tools. All right, if I only have a few of them, right? Or if maybe you're like me and you're getting older and your eyes aren't quite what they were, it certainly helps to be able to enlarge all those icons. Right? I can go into my view options and I can switch. If I don't want the text, I want just the icons, I can choose to do just the icons. Now you see I'm just getting a little, thumbnail images there. Right? Again, I can right-click, go to my view options, and I can even go into a list view of items, right, rather than a side-by-side. So there's a lot of ways you control the basic view of it. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the icons with text here. Right? Now, the other thing that we can do, right, is that we can go in here and, like I said, we can use tools, we can add tools, we can build our own sets. So you see down here on the bottom, I've got form features, command tools, draw. I have another one here that I created a little bit earlier. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just delete that one. I'll leave it for now. I'm going to go to Customize Palettes real quick, and I'm just going to delete that, just so I'll show you how we can start from scratch. All right, so the idea then is that we can go in and we can build our own custom tool palettes, right? So, in the same way, so we can do these point and click setups. So here I have, a typical layout plan, and maybe what I have in here is some furniture. I've got some desks, some chairs, some couches, etc., that I want to be able to use on other projects. I drew them on this job, or maybe I have them in my, existing CAD library, right? And I want to give easy access to these for people. So what I do in here is I can just right-click, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new palette, right? And just like I did in my little example there, because I've done that before, is I'm going to create one called furniture. Okay, and you see just like that, I've got a tab. So I had draw, now I have a furniture tab down here on the bottom. All right, well, that's easy enough, but how do I get all of these items here into this tool palette? I've got, like I said, two different ways, depending on whether I'm adding drawn objects, like desks and chairs and lines, etc., and hatches, all right, or if I'm adding commands to these. Right? It just depends on which one you're trying to do. So let's start with the furniture. Say I want to be able to go in and I want to start adding the blocks that are in this drawing. All the blocks, all the things that I've created in this drawing are useful, and I'd like to have them for other projects. Okay, so it's not a problem. All I have to do is go in, right? And I'm just going to go up to my tools, Drawing Explorer, right? And I'm just going to go to blocks. Right? And the great thing here is the Drawing Explorer. Right? It gives you a list of all of the blocks and a preview that are in your drawing. So you see I can go in and click one by one. It says my computer monitor, my different desks, doors, all of the phones, sofas, right? All of the different things that I have available here inside of my drawing all appear in my Drawing Explorer. So it's going to say, okay, so I've got this chair number 7. I want to be able to use that chair forever. This is a great office chair. I want to use it on every job we ever do for furniture layout. No problem. All I have to do is go to that, right-click on it, and just say, I want to add that to my current tool palette. Just like that. You see it shows up over here in my tool palette. Okay, so I can go down and say, hey, maybe this desk number 2. I want to add that to my tool palette. What else is useful in here? You know what? There's also a sofa. Right? I want to be able to use the sofa. Right? And I'm going to add that to my current tool palette. It's that easy. Right? I go into my Drawing Explorer, I find the blocks that are in this drawing, and I can add them to whatever my current tool palette is. Now, the thing to understand about this is that these blocks here, they're being added from this file, right? Which may seem a little bit weird, but it's actually great because what it allows you to do is create one master file, one DWG that contains all of your blocks, whether they're furniture blocks, doors, windows, title blocks, and put all of those in one file, right? That has 300 or 400 different symbols inside of them, and then you can easily, from that one file, just add them into your tool palettes. Now, everybody who's working throughout your whole company, as they go in and they're working in brand new drawings, they can just go in and say, hey, I need a chair. There's your chair. Okay, so that's kind of nice, right? It's an easy way to be able to grab the, oh, I need a desk. There's the desk. Okay, well, you notice that the angles and the rotations and maybe even the layers aren't what I want. That's okay, because here's where you start to get really powerful inside of BricsCAD. I can go to any of these symbols, right click on them, and go to the properties. And this is where the power really starts. Number one, I can rename it. Instead of just being chair 7, right? Maybe this is a Acme Products office chair, right? I want to give it an actual manufacturer name. And I want to give it a description. I'm going to tell them it's a 20-inch to a 28-inch adjustable height swivel chair. Okay, can give it a description, right? Now I can go in, I can adjust the scale. So if I need to scale up to be twice its normal size, I can do that. I can set a specific rotation if I want a block to come in at 45 degrees. One I like, particularly for things like a chair or other symbols, I can actually set it to prompt me for rotation. You saw before I had the desk and the chair that just came in at whatever the original block rotation was. Now I'm going to tell it prompt me to rotate. So as I'm rotating things around, or as I'm placing them rather, I can rotate them to correct angle. I can change the color, but more importantly, I can preset layer controls right into these tools. So you never again have to worry about setting the right layer or hoping that your draftsman set the right layer before they put these in. I'm just going to go and say, look, I always want these to come in on the furniture layer, right? I can set different plot styles, line weights, line types. And as I do different types of items, I'll be able to set different properties, okay? So now you see when I say okay to that, that's now set to the tool palette. Now when I go in, right, and I bring in that chair, you see that it comes in automatically on the furniture layer, and it's asking me for rotation, so I can rotate it to whatever angle my desk is at. Okay, so you see that even though CPU is my current layer, when I click on this, furniture is the layer that that chair was placed on. I didn't have to do anything other than rotate it to the angle that I need. Right, then I can do exactly the same thing with all of the others. Just go to the properties, right, set the layer to whatever you want. I want that to be on the furniture layer, and I want to prompt for the rotation on the desk as well. Okay, quick and easy. Right, now when I bring in my desk, right, I can put the desk in and say, okay, I want the desk about here, and now I can spin the desk, right, to kind of align it with the chair and go, yep, that's the layout that I want. Okay, very easy way to be able to go in and put individual blocks from inside of a drawing into your structure. Okay, now, right, you can go ahead and you can do those as individuals. The other thing that you can do here, right, is that you can actually go in and you can bring in entire libraries, entire folders of your symbols and lines and things that you've already done, right, from any place on your network or on your local machine. So how do we do that? Exactly the same way. So what I'm going to do here, right, is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new palette, and I'm just going to call this one, we'll call it drainage. Right, it's a civil item. Right, so I'm creating a drainage palette, and you see it's blank. Okay, see my furniture tab is still down here at the bottom. I can go back and forth. And what I'm going to do now, right, is I'm going to go into my tools, Drawing Explorer, and I'm going to go to my blocks. Right, but this time, instead of working on the open drawing, right, which is the one that we're in, I'm going to go over to this tab that says folders. Right, and you see that I've already got some folders, local folders already built in place. These are just locations that I added, and you can just do it by adding a local folder, where I can easily go in now and I can customize and bring in all of my drainage symbols. So here are all of my drainage symbols. So I've got, proposed inlets, B, double B, and you see I can click on them and get previews down in here, right? All the details about them. So I'm going to go in and say, you know what, I want this, the B inlet. I can just right click on it and I can add that to my current tool palette. My current tool palette is drainage, right? These are my drainage symbols. They're out in a folder on my C drive called drainage, okay? Right? And that can be anywhere on your network or anywhere in the cloud, anywhere you want it. And I can just go ahead and I'm going to add that as a block. There's my B inlets. Maybe I need a double B inlet. I add it as a block, right? And I'm going to add just, I'll insert add my E inlet, and I'll also do a double E, right? Inserting those as a block, just simple things. And you see I can easily go in and I can create another tab for bar scales, and I can bring in all my different bar scale sizes, all right? If I've got, a series of north arrows, right here are my north arrow drawings. If I've got title blocks and, municipal details, I can have thousands of details all in a folder, and I can bring them in. Right? And these, because they reside out on your network, each one of these is its own independent DWG file, as opposed to what we did before, which was pulling drawings from here inside this floor plan that I had open. Okay, so it's just about where you want to store your setups and structures. All right, so that you see, it's very easy for me to pull those in. Now I can do the same thing. I can just go in, right? Go to the properties for those, and set all the layers that I want them on, the rotation, the angles, all the different things that I want for the blocks, right? And then it's easy to just go in and just bring in, see, there's my B inlet, my double B inlet, oops, sorry, I didn't click on it, double B inlet, right? My E-based inlet. So all of these symbols can just easily be brought in on the correct layers and adjusting rotations and scales and whatever I need. So it's a very easy way to be able to bring in and handle multiple structures. Now, the other thing that's really nice about this is that you can customize the palette structure. So you see right now what I've been doing, I've just been kind of dropping all of these palettes together, but I can also create palette groups. And you see we got one here called architectural, and I'm going to create a new one. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to create a new group called civil. Okay, so you see I've got an architectural group and a civil group. And this is really one of the great things about this is that you can start to build tools and tool sets and break them down into manageable sizes for the different disciplines and different types of work you do. So if you're an MEP firm, you can have a mechanical set, an electrical set, and a plumbing set. Okay. If you're an architect, you can have a floor plan set. You can have a reflected ceiling plan set, a lighting set. Whatever it is you do, you can break these down into different aspects and components to meet your needs. And then it's as easy as taking these palettes that we have over here. Well, furniture, that's actually architectural. So I can just drag that over here under the architectural set. Drainage, that should be part of my civil set, right? And as I create other newer ones, all right, I can drag them from here into the structure I want. And I just say, okay. Right? Now, when I go over here, you see when I right click, you'll see down at the bottom now, instead of just the all palettes, which is where we started, I can now switch and say, I want all of my architectural tools. Now, right now, I only have the furniture tab, but I could have 100 different, I could have a walls tab, a doors tab, ceilings or reflected ceilings, details, wall layouts, right? All different controls, that I need, construction details, mounting details, whatever I need, right? Same thing with the civil. I switch to my civil set. And again, right now I've only got the drainage, but I could easily have, a storm, a sanitary, a water set, every tool, every symbol that I need predefined to come in exactly the way I need it, project after project after project, which is really, really nice. Okay, so I want to show you that some of the other stuff that you can do, right, is that I can also go in and I can add commands and tools. So I'm going to go in, I'm just going to create a new palette here, right, underneath the civil, and we'll just call it, I'm just going to call it piping for right now. Okay, so I'm just going to call it another tab in here called piping. All right, so I've got a piping tab under here. And this time, instead of adding blocks, right, I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to add a tool. And what's great about adding a tool is it brings up the Customize box, which allows you to go and access any BricsCAD command. So for example, I can go down to the draw tool, and if what I want to be able to do is I want to preset polylines. I want to be able to preset polylines for like storm and sanitary work on the correct layers and line types, etc. I can just go right here, right click on where it says polyline, and I can add that. Any command, you see all the commands, every BricsCAD command there is, I can add all of these to my tool. So I can just go and say, look, polylines, right? I want to actually add that to my current tool palette, right? Pretty simple, right? I can go in and just say, okay, what else do I want to add in here? Maybe I also want to be able to put in, multi-line text, right? And I'm going to add that to my current tool palette, okay? Right, so again, you can use any tool of any kind, it doesn't really matter. But what I want to show you here is where this really becomes powerful, right? When you can really start to custom. I'm just take what's the basic polyline command, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to go to the properties, right? And now it doesn't have to say polyline over there, right? I can set this to be storm pipe, right? And I can go ahead and I can go to my layers, right? And I can choose right? Whichever layer I want it to be on. So if I had a storm layer, whichever, here we go, I got a P-storm structure layer, so close enough for today. I don't have a storm piping layer, but that layer is what I want this polyline to draw on, right? I can use different line type scales. I can use different plot styles, okay? I can adjust the line weights if I need to, okay? And you'll even notice it up here in terms of the command. This is what I was saying before, that I can actually, and I'm just gonna stretch this over a little bit so we can see it. I can edit the command string. So I can actually go in here. See, right now it's just doing the cancel command, then it's running the polyline command. I can continue on separating these with commas and have it say, hey, do this, run the polyline command. Then I can put comma, zoom extents, comma, plot, comma. You know, I can modify the command string into a macro that'll run 10, 12, 20 commands with a single click of the button, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna basically set that, right, without too much of a setup here. And again, you know, if you wanna set your, you know, your line type scales for that, right, plot styles, right, whether it's by layer, by block, et cetera, and say okay, right? Now you see I've got a storm pipe command. So again, I'm just going to kind of, you know, go in and sketch that out. And so if I want to go and say, look, I'm connecting storm pipe, you know, from here, and it's going out to here, down to here, down to here, and then back to this. There you go. Right? I've got my storm pipe, and I can create another polyline, just add another tool, excuse me, for sanitary pipe. No worries. Same thing. I can go to the multi-line text, modify the properties, right? And maybe this is a, you know, catch basin label, okay? Right? And I can go ahead and, you know, this is for whatever. I can type whatever description I want, right? And now I can go in and again, choose the layers, right? In this case, I'm just going to put it on a different layer. I'm just going to pick one at random here, and I'll throw it on the foams layer, right? I can change the line type, right? I want that to be a hidden line, okay? I can go ahead and, you know, because it's text, right? I guess hidden line doesn't make much sense for text, so I'll go back to continuous. But because it's a piece of text, I can also set what text style do I want to use, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use, you know, the Roman S. Right? I can set if it was a dimension. See, I can set different dimension styles. I can set line weights, etc. Right? This way, when I go in, right now I'm ready with my catch basin label, and it's just here it is, set to the right standard, the right setup. Right? And I can just put in, you know, CB-8, and I didn't really set too much in terms of the size and the style, right? You know, invert whatever I need, right? And I can just type. So I can set and reset these so I get the right setups, the right structures on every one of my tools. And you can do that with any tool in the entire library. Again, just by right-clicking, saying Add Tool, and then every single tool in the BricsCAD library that you want. Drawing images, image inserts, files, right? Layer controls, everything can be customized and built, right? Really an immensely powerful way to work. Very, very simple, very easy to use and work with. All right, so that's kind of what I wanted to show you today. All right, so we're getting close to the end of time here. And like I said, I know that a lot of folks, you haven't made that change to BricsCAD yet, but like I said, making the change to BricsCAD is worthwhile for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's constantly updated. They, you know, the 2D drawing files are not afterthoughts for BricsCAD, you know, to try and get you to buy more advanced software. They understand that most of us still work that way, you know, that, and a lot of times, you know, those big high-end 3D, you know, BIM structure programs are just overkill for the things we're doing, right? But what's even better about it is that BricsCAD, not only does it do the 2D stuff, it's fully integrated those, you know, when you do need the BIM on the larger jobs and you need some, you know, mechanical design work and you're doing some manufacturing work and some sheet metal bending, they've got all of those tools and systems, but they're all integrated into the same DWG file, right? You're not creating 4 different files types that don't interact with each other. It all ties together in one intelligent CAD system. And the other benefit of it when you're dealing with these, right, is that, you know, BricsCAD comes in a series. You get BricsCAD Classic, right, Pro, Platinum, right, BIM, and Mechanical, right? They're different modules that you can buy, and you only have to purchase the one you want. And the great thing about this is that BricsCAD gives you choices. Right? You are not tied to an annual recurring model that you have to pay. It doesn't force you to upgrade. You have the choice to either buy it as a perpetual license, okay, that you can hold on to and you can just choose to upgrade every 4 or 5 years, just like, you know, we used to be able to do back in the day. Or if, you know, you do like the budgeting option to be able to do it as an annual maintenance fee, you can do that as well, right? But the key here is that, you know, BricsCAD is not forcing you to a particular payment model. It's about adapting and customizing, getting what you need when you need it. Okay. All right. And like I said, I did promise that I would answer some questions here today. So I'm going to take a quick look. Okay. So I do have a couple of questions that came in. I got a question from Tanya. Tanya says, we do electrical work. Can I add outlets, lights, etc.? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I know I showed some furniture symbols and a couple of basic symbols here today, Tanya, but it does not matter what type of discipline you're working in, whether it's electrical, civil, architectural, furniture. If you're doing manufacturing and you're doing, electrical lighting components, refrigerator controls, whatever you draw, if you can draw it in BricsCAD, you can use it in the tool palettes. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Georgiana, where are the palettes saved? By default, Georgiana, the palettes are saved on your local machine, on your C drive as part of your base install. But under the settings for BricsCAD, you can actually change that path, which is really important. You can change it out to either a network-based or a cloud-based location so that you can actually set one series of tools for your whole company. Then everybody just points to that location, and you as like the CAD manager or the lead drafts person can actually set and update and modify and make sure that everything is coming out consistent on every job. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I got a question from Mike. Mike says, if I share a DWG with AutoCAD users, will they see my blocks from a custom palette? Yeah, absolutely, no problem, Mike. Once you place those blocks off the palette, you click on it, you place them into your drawing file. They're just a block like any other block, right? And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, BricsCAD uses the same DWG format as AutoCAD, so you can open AutoCAD drawings in BricsCAD, you can open BricsCAD in AutoCAD. Does not matter. There are absolutely no compatibility, concerns between those systems. So you can use all of your blocks, lines, line types, everything else that you're doing all at once. Okay. And I'm looking, I don't see any other questions, and that's okay because we're about out of time. But I do want to, again, we do quite a lot here at ZenTek Consultants. We're consultants. We work with people on all kinds of software technologies in the design and manufacturing world. And for something like the BricsCAD custom tools, if you guys have an interest in this, but you're not sure how to set it up yourself or you don't have the time, just reach out to us. We are happy to help you guys. You can just reach out to us, either call us, hit our website, or you can email sales@zentekconsultants.net, and we'd be happy to talk to you about helping you build and structure those products and tools and customizations that you need to be productive in the BricsCAD software that you want to use. Other than that, I really want to thank you guys for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.